Hi everybody. In this second project, I would like you to create a grid. Let's click away on the background and get rid of the splash screen. A grid of morphing shapes using a cube. And we'll do a 25 unit grid here using duplicate commands, and it makes fast work of this. I'm going to start by pulling this to the left here. And what I'd like to do is hit number 7 on your keypad and number 5 to go into a top ortho view. And actually, let's go in the other direction. So I'm bringing it back to the center and moving it this way. Something like that. I'm leaving the edge of this right up on the edge of one of the grid lines. And then use the command Shift D as in David, and then just drag it over. It would be a little more precise if we use the X. So I'm going to hit Control Z on that. I noticed it was a little squirrely, so I'm going to hit Shift D X, and notice how the X axis lit up a little bit. And then when you drag it, it's perfectly aligned right here. So I'm going to put it one square away, and then to repeat that exact thing without, you could say Shift D X and keep doing that, or we could hit Shift R, and that repeats the last command. So I'm going to do that 2 more times and end up with 5 boxes like that. Great. So next, let's hit the number 1. So we go to front ortho, that's number 1 on your keypad. And tab, use the tab key and go into edit mode, and then the letter A to deselect all here. And then notice that down here on these 3 buttons that the vertex select button is highlighted. Then right click on the front vertex in the upper right and pull that up 1, 2, 3, 4 boxes, let's say. Alrighty. Then hit A to deselect, tab to go back to object mode, right click on the next box, tab to go to edit mode, the letter A to deselect, and then right click on this front right one and go up 3 boxes, 1, 2, 3. Okay, so rinse and repeat. So we're going to go tab into object mode, right click, tab into edit mode, the letter A to deselect, then right click, and you guessed it, 2 boxes up. Okay. Tab into object mode, right click, tab to edit mode, letter A, right click, 1 box. And then we'll leave this one alone. Alrighty, so I'm going to tab back to object mode, and we're in front ortho. Let's go to top again, and we're going to select all of these. So I'm going to right click and then holding shift, right click. It doesn't look like we're doing that. Something about having reproduced these has made these. Let's make sure. Yep, I'm sorry, I was pushing the wrong button. Shift, okay. And let's go back to top ortho and then Shift D Y for the Y axis. So Shift D Y and pull it 1 box out. Oops, right here. And I'm going to hold Shift and the middle mouse button to pan down a little bit, and then Shift R, Shift R, Shift R. Great. Next, we'll just orbit around and see how we're looking here. And it's looking pretty good. So let's set up our lamp. So right click on the lamp here. Come over to the lamp properties tab. Come up to Blender Render and make it Cycles Render. We'll choose a point source. I'll leave it at 0.1 for now. Click Use Nodes and make the strength 4000. Let's try that for starters. And come down next to Object Mode here and go into Rendered Viewport Shading just to see how the lighting is doing. And I realize that the light is a bit close to the back here. And why don't we adjust that? So I'm going to go back to solid mode and zoom out and take the light up. I hit number 3 to look at it from the right side, and I'm just pulling this towards the center more and bringing it higher. And let's bring this. So I'm just orbiting around, trying to center the light kind of over this. Nothing too fancy here. I'm going to hit number 1 and then left click my mouse to bring my 3D cursor right underneath the middle object and add a plane now. So Shift A, mesh plane, and then hit S for scale and the number 10. Enter. All right. Next, let's see what this is looking like in the rendered viewport shading. And okay, you just have to adjust the plane. I like those shadows there. So let me hit escape. I'm sorry. Come back to solid mode. Number 3 will bring us to the right ortho view, and just slide this over to center it. And just orbit around to make sure it's all pretty good here. I'm going to click on my world and make that black. So that's this button, the 4th one over. Use, let's see, color right here. And on the value slider, just drag it all the way to the bottom. Once again, let's see how this is shaping up with rendered. It's looking pretty good. If you want to use a little color in the light, what we want to do is select the lamp. You can do it in the outliner up in the top here. It's down under all these cubes, so you can click on the lamp, click on the properties. If I make the size bigger than 0.1, it'll be a softer light and cast a softer shadow unless you... So let's try size 2, enter, and notice how the shadow is softened up a bit. And for color, if you click this, don't get crazy on the color, you can just warm it up a little bit or something like that. And strength, I'm going to take it up to 5,000 and see how that looks, enter. Okay. Then orbit around to find a pleasing view for the render that you want to, and actually you're going to render this 3 times, so you could try 3 points of view on this. Okay, you know, I'd probably do something looking more like that, and then something more like this. So let's set up our camera. So hit the letter N as in Norman, and click Lock Camera to View, and again to delete that. And then number pad 0 to see the camera view, and then middle scroll wheel to scroll out, and then middle button to orbit around, and shift to pan, and alrighty. So I haven't set up materials because the default materials are diffuse anyway, and I'm just going to go with that for now. So taking a look at that, maybe I'll take my strength up to 6,000, enter, and then I'm going to hit F12. And I'm just using the default render values too. I'm going to pause it here. I didn't, on the rendering, I left it at 50%. I could have taken this up here to 100% for a bigger image. So it rendered pretty quickly, 28 seconds. Then remember to hit F3 or come down to the left where it says image next to view and save as image, and notice the shortcut right here, F3, and name it Morphing Grid, M-O-R-P-H-I-N-G, grid. And notice where it's going into your documents, save as image, and post it to the blog. Now to do another render again, remember hit escape and come around and find a different point of view here. And this time I'm going to render it a little larger and hit F12. Let me pause it again. Okay, that took a bit longer at 2 minutes, maybe 8 times longer, and a much nicer image though because many more pixels were rendered. I'm using my middle scroll button to zoom out a little bit. So same deal, hit F3 and save the image. What other variations could you do here? Hit escape. You know, which other ways could you pull and logically and methodically create a grid pattern where we have a morphing series of shapes? So you don't have to reproduce this one exactly if you want to try something else, but do the same idea of, oh, that's a pretty interesting point of view here. I'll scroll up a little bit. F12 it. Well, okay. So have fun with this. Play around and post your best work to the blog, and see you in the next video.